Alright, so here we go. Just looked up in Wikipedia, well, not insanity, but sanity. Because I had to ask myself, okay, so if so many people are fucking crazy these days, what's the definition of sanity? And I quote, from a legal perspective on sanity, it's impossible to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that someone's actually sane. Yes? From legal perspective, you can't prove you're sane, but you can still plead insanity because the article went into detail of such things as like sanity is representing wholeness, or that old phrase, a sound mind and a sound body. The article was extremely disappointing. Not written unwell, but disappointing nonetheless. Not so much that I thought the information was falsified or untrue or biased, but rather the lack of information. Because I'm willing to bet that if you look up the insanity article on Wikipedia, you're going to give a hell of a lot more detail on what's crazy. But you can practically scroll down in like 6 seconds to the bottom of the sanity article. In terms of referencing the article, the scientific method is supposed to be the rule for sanity, in sense it's supposed to, like, essentially, using the established facts is not merely enough, considering that, according to the article itself, we can never fully denote what reality actually is. According to the article itself, reality is uncomprehendable, or the true, full weight of what reality is something that's beyond our grasp, is what it seemed to be implying. Now, that is just my opinion, but it just seems so strange to me that we're all quick to call each other insane or crazy. Yet, how many times have you heard someone say someone was sane? Well, even if you have heard that, who defines it? Furthermore, in the article itself, it said that just because opinions are held by the greater portion of the population does not make them true. Delusions can be held by a large number of people and not be considered crazy because everyone believes in it. But that doesn't make it true. That's the article itself. So, although it was a weird twist in a campaign session tonight that made me think of the question, what is sanity anyway? I'm kind of repulsed by the fact that, yeah, the question wasn't unfounded. People can define a million things as insane, but if all that shit is insane, then what is sane? How do you measure it? How do you determine when someone is of sound mind? And it kind of implied wholeness too, so truth be told, if someone could grip various vague portions of their mind more so, that means they're more whole in their faculties and what drives them. Yeah. That doesn't necessarily mean what drives them is going to be accepted by the rest of the population. So, what is sane? If sane is defined as wholeness and a kind of completeness in the mind, a soundness of the mind, in other words, you can fully understand and accept yourself, then sanity is something that is an ideal we will never achieve because it is something that is impossible for a single individual to do, given how the subconscious works. where subconscious is all that's beneath the surface thoughts of the mind. It pretty much means that psychiatry and psychology as a profession will never cure anything. All they're pretty much doing is patting you on the back and saying it's alright when it probably isn't. And furthermore, I found from personal experience that going to a shrink doesn't address any of the issues, or rather, it doesn't solve any of the issues that got you there in the first place. Mental phenomena, maybe, but the actual real world things that make you go crazy in the first place, the things that drive you off your rocker to the point where you can't take it anymore, they don't really fix any of that. Because they can't. Because usually it's interpersonal. So how the hell can they fix something that a pile of other people are suffering from? It's like you send one patient into a psychiatric ward as if they're the problem, yet the only reason they've drawn so far from the rest of us is because we've driven them there. They say something we don't like, so we make fun of them, we tease them, we do whatever. And even in the case of school shootings and the like, we always blame the people who are responsible for the shootings, rather than put a shared weight on the people who did the shootings and the people who drove them to do it in the first place. It's a very scary thought that victims are sometimes just responsible for the actions of the aggressors. Basically, there's no such thing as sanity, but there is such a thing as insanity. And if the two are opposites, how come one exists without the other? Is what I would like to ask. If there is no sanity in the world, if we're all just crazy and fucked up, and we all deserve to be, like, analyzed and picked apart for every little thing we do, at what point is that good for us? At what point do we actually stop needing to be picked apart and we can actually live a normal life? A sane life? The answer is quite simple. We can't. We can't guarantee that someone isn't going to snap under internal pressure they haven't voiced. And we can't guarantee that someone is not going to just stop seeing us because they just pull so far inside that they stop functioning. But that's not really the problem here. Yes, counseling can help, but we should at least be honest that, sure, there's mental illness, but we should also be honest that there's no real cure for it either. Sure, we know that they can be treated with psychiatric drugs, but we don't really know why they work. And when I say we, I don't necessarily mean the psychiatrist, I mean the patients don't really know why they work. And my theory's always been that the reason they stop talking with the voices inside their head when everyone, like, puts them in a, like, pat of rum and shoves, like, these pills, they don't even know what the fuck they're shoving in their throat. Pretty much, like, if you don't swallow it, you get, like, put in isolation, pretty much. You're forced into a room until you actually take their pills. So, yeah, the reason the pills worked is not so much because they stopped the voices, it's because the person stopped admitting that they could hear the voices. So in the end, all you're really doing is teaching these people to lie. That's all you're doing. But isn't that what you expect them to do? Isn't that what you want them to do? Isn't that what you were hoping they would do?